Praise the living God, the God of Israel, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the God of us Hebrews. Shalom to the 12 tribes of Israel, scattered worldwide, and the strangers that's with us in Jesus' holy name. Amen. Happy Sabbath, beloved. So this will be part 2 of the Genesis 6 series. And this lesson I entitled "The Corruption of the Flesh," because we're going to take a look at even more proof concerning what we touched on briefly last week, dealing with the sons of God, which were the angels in Genesis 6, coming down and fornicating with earth women, and the women bore children to them, which became in the Hebrew tongue the Nephilim. In the English we say giants. So we touched on that. We touched on the satyr, which is a half human, half goat hybrid, and the Lord is talking about them in Isaiah 13, and that's dealing with the end after Babylon the Great gets destroyed. We looked at the giants' mythology and saw how that tied in, because all the different mythologies, they all have one thing in common, which is that they all agree that the little g gods came from the sky, came down, mated with women. The women bore them children, which they call demigods, or you could say hybrids. We also looked at King David. We looked at in Numbers, Joshua, Caleb, the other 10 Israelite spies that went to spy out the land, came back with an evil report. Joshua and Caleb did not, but they saw the 3 sons of Anak there, Anak being a direct descendant, his father being a fallen angel. That's why it doesn't mention his who he was born from. But Anak had 3 sons, so we looked at the fact that the giants are able to reproduce. And so our ancestors were terribly afraid, didn't want to go over there. That's what that's what landed them to wander the wilderness for 40 years. And then we also looked at some time later, many centuries later, King David and his men were fighting these giants and defeating them. So that's what we looked at last week. This week, we're going to look at even more proof, but I will return because I have to get something for my notes. I'll be right back. Alrighty. So, hopefully, I don't stay too long this morning. Okay. All right. So we're going to pick this up in Deuteronomy chapter 3. Deuteronomy chapter 3 and verse 1. Sisters, please have your heads uncovered. Brothers, please have your heads covered. 2 Corinthians 11, 2 through 16. Deuteronomy 3 and verse 1. It says, Then we turned and went up the way to Bashan, and Og, the king of Bashan, came out against us, he and all his people, to battle at Adria. And the Lord said unto me, Fear him not, for I will deliver him and all his people and his land into thy hand. And thou shalt do unto him as thou didst unto Sihon, king of the Amorites, which dwelt at Heshbon. So Og was a giant. He was of the Nephilim seed. And also Sihon was also a hybrid. Verse 3. So the Lord our God delivered into our hands Og also, the king of Bashan, and all his people, and we smote him until none was left to him remaining. And we took all his cities at that time. There was not a city which we took not from them. 60 cities, 60 cities, all the region of Argob, the kingdom of Og in Bashan. All these cities were fenced with high walls, gates, and bars, beside unwalled towns a great many. And we utterly destroyed them as we did unto Sihon, king of Heshbon, utterly destroying the men, women, and children of every city. The reason being is because they were not human. That's why you're reading about them killing men, women, and children, because they were not human. You understand? And if they were, they had a direct allegiance to the Nephilim. They were worshiping the Nephilim, and in some cases they would worship these people that had allegiances or alliances with the giants. They would worship the fallen angels, their fathers. Okay, so it said, verse 7, But all the cattle and the spoil of the cities we took for a prey to ourselves. And we took at that time out of the hand of the two kings of the Amorites the land that was on this side Jordan, from the river of Arnon unto Mount Hermon. And Mount Hermon is supposedly the place that the fallen angels descended upon. That's the mountain that they descended upon and agreed to do this evil, okay, to take the daughters of men to be their wives. And we're going to look at that. So we're going to look at that even further. Which Hermon the Sidonians call Sirion, and the Amorites call it Shenir. All the cities of the plain, and all Gilead, and all Bashan, unto Salchak and Edria, cities of the kingdom of Og in Bashan. For only Og, king of Bashan, remained of the remnant of giants, referring to that location. Behold, his bedstead was a bedstead of iron. Is it not in Rabath of the children of Ammon, which is in Jordan? 9 cubits was the length thereof, and 4 cubits the breadth of it, after the cubit of a man. So apparently, when you look that up, I believe it's like 13, something over 13 feet from head to toe, and over 6 feet wide. Nephilim. Let's look at, let me show you some pictures of these demigods. Well, it's not so much pictures as much as it is names, but you can go look this stuff up, okay? And I'll try to show some statues of some of these so-called gods, little g. All right, so let's take a look at this. Let's see. Okay. All right, so hopefully you can see that. All right, so list of demigods, right? Let me get this. Make sure I'm on par. Okay. So, list of demigods, right? It says, It says this is a list of notable offspring of a deity with a mortal in mythology and modern fiction. So Satan will call it mythology or fiction in order to keep you from understanding the truth. Because one thing about Satan and the fallen angels, brothers and sisters, is whatever is true they call a lie, and whatever is a lie they call the truth. So it's just reversed. So if they saying that it's a mythology, it's not. Okay, and if they're saying that something that's obviously false, if they're saying that's true, then it's not true. Okay, such entities are sometimes referred to as demigods, although the term demigod can also refer to a minor deity or great mortal hero with godlike valor and skills who sometimes attains divine status after death. So remember, the Lord said that the sons, he said in Genesis 6 that the children of the sons of God became mighty men, right? Men of old, because they were from ancient times, men of renown. Renown meaning famous, having fame. So notice what it said about these demigods, these hybrids, right? Deity mixing with a mortal, creating a minor deity or great mortal hero with godlike valor and skills. So the heroes of old, this is what your superheroes are about today. They are the Nephilim. You understand? So look, we're going to read this Greek mythology, right? I'm just going to read the names, and I'm going to show you some pictures after this. Achilles, son of the sea. Well, I'm going to read the whole thing. Son of the sea nymph Thetis, daughter of sea god Nereus, and Peleus, king of the Myrmidons. Achaeus, son of Zeus, and Aegina, who was the daughter of a river god, little g. He was the father of Telamon and Peleus, and grandfather of Ajax and Achilles. There's so many here. There's so many. Let me read a few more. Dionysus, son of Zeus and Semele. Dardanus, son of Zeus and Electra. Let's look at Hercules, son of Zeus, king of the little g gods, and Alcmene, a mortal woman. Helena of Sparta, also known as Helene of Troy. Look at Orion, son of Poseidon, the sea god. Okay. Perseus, son of Zeus and mortal princess Dania, whom he impregnated as a golden shower. They got Roman mythology, Philippine mythology, and all of these is talking about the same thing. How the little g gods, they even have the Norse mythology. The little g gods came down, impregnated earth women, okay, and they bore children to them. And so, this is now you have to ask yourself this, brothers and sisters. If the sons of Seth married the daughters of Cain and had children with them, right, then that is who you should see when you're looking all this stuff up. Because even though they don't fully agree with the scriptures, the fact that they're all talking about the same thing should let you know, it should clue you in that the consistency is what I'm talking about. The consistency. You're not finding information on the sons of Seth and the daughters of Cain. What you're finding is images on hybrids. Look at this. Gods of Egypt. Kali, right? I should have typed in statues. Hold on. All right. So look, all these statues that are worldwide, right? Who are they of? Are they of the sons of Seth and the daughters of Cain? Or are they of hybrids? Look at this. Look at all these statues. These are statues of hybrids. Their fathers being little g gods and their mothers being earth women. And you even see some real hybrids, like Anubis, one of the Egyptian false gods. Okay. Hopefully y'all can see that. Athena as a female, Janus. Okay. And you know, most people, I'll say in a lot of the Hebrew camps and the Norse god statues, they have Loki, okay, son of a little g god, okay. Most Israelites in the camps, because the Sunday churches, there's quite a few Sunday churches that understand this, you know, and they discuss these things, you know, but for some reason, a lot of the Hebrew camps don't want to touch this, you know, even though there's much proof backing it up, you see, and that within itself is something to be curious about, because how is it that the Sunday church, and I speak about the few, because every Sunday church doesn't touch on it, but how is it that Sunday churches who truly don't even know the Messiah, they don't know the Father, but how is it that they understand? Some of them, you know, to the point that they're teaching their members, they're teaching the people that this truth, you know, something to think about. But you can look up these pictures for yourself. Pictures of Gilgamesh, who was, let me see if I can go to it actually. Gilgamesh was so big that he held in the statue that they made, he was holding a cat. I mean, he was holding a lion like a man holds a house cat. Okay, that's how big this guy was. Let me go to it. Okay, so here's his statue, or his the thing. Okay. I don't know if you can see that, but look at how, now this is a carved work, a carved image, but look at how he's holding a full-grown lion, male lion, like a house cat. That's a image of Gilgamesh, who was also a hybrid. Okay, of the he was a Sumerian god, little g. You know, and these things, when you study them out, you find there's much proof about this. But you have these people who refuse to look into these things. They refuse to study. And whoever is studying it, they will call them crazy. So you can look up statues of Zeus, okay? And who was Zeus? Zeus was a little g god, Okay. Of course, these are names that people have given them. Okay. According to their mythology, the Greeks call him Zeus. Whatever his, former name is, who knows? But you have Poseidon, you have Hercules, Medusa, okay, hybrids, or even the little g gods themselves, the fallen angels. Because, like I said, all the mythologies, they're all agreeing. All we shouldn't, if this wasn't true, that fallen angels uh, came to the earth and had children with earth women. If it wasn't true, we shouldn't find no information on it. Okay, none, no information, because it would be easily disproven it's not real. You're not gonna find information on the sons of Seth and the daughters of Cain mixing. There's no information on that. But you find information about the little g gods mixing with earth women, flesh women. So, but we're not done there. We got plenty more. Let's go to the book of Jude. The book of Jude, and we're gonna pick it up at verse 6. It's only one chapter. We're gonna pick it up at verse 6. People who don't study this stuff out, they will tell you that you're crazy, and they'll say it doesn't have nothing to do with salvation. But it's in the Holy Bible, and that means that it's worth our understanding. It deserves our attention because the Lord found it so important that not only did he mention what happened in Genesis 6 briefly, but he also correlated the end times back to Genesis 6, which baffles me that a lot of these pastors will not say anything about that. You understand? Everything is not hinged upon the third temple being built. That's not the only part of end time prophecy. There's other things happening that go along with that the saints need to be aware of in order to prepare to overcome. But if you don't know these things, you're not going to be prepared. You're going to be caught off guard. Jude, and we're going to pick it up at verse 6. Jude, verse 6. It says, "And the angels which kept not their first estate." It doesn't say that they got booted out. It said they did not keep their first estate, meaning heaven. But watch this. "But left their own habitation." They were not kicked out with Satan in the beginning, because the war in heaven, brothers and sisters, has not happened yet. Revelation 12 has not happened yet, where it talks about Satan fighting against Michael and his angels, and they already got banned to the earth. That has not transpired yet. When that happens, Jacob's trouble, great tribulation, happens right after that. Okay, right after that. And Daniel 12:1 is another scripture that goes along with Revelation 12. Okay, and 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. Nevertheless, Jude said, "And the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation." That sounds like choice. Read Psalm 103, and I believe it's verse 19 and 20. The Lord tell you that the angels got to keep the commandments. And what if in heaven the angels have a set of commandments given to them? What if down here there's, of course, the laws of God for mankind, for flesh? And then what if God has given animals a law, right, that we don't know nothing about? The Apostle Paul said we know in part, we see in part. Okay, how is it that if there's not a different type of law set up for the holy angels, the Bible says that that the Lord said in the Bible that he fed Israel with angels' food, which is the manna, the bread, right? So obviously they're able to eat. Okay, now what if the Lord gave the angelic host a commandment the same way he gave us a commandment? No bestiality. Don't have sex with the animals, right? That's a law. So what if he gave them a similar type of law? Don't interbreed with animals or men. You understand? What if? I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying think on these things, right? Think about it. So Jude said they left their own habitation, right? He hath reserved in everlasting chains under darkness unto the judgment of the great day. Now, some teachers will tell you that means that they're walking around in they're invisible. We can't see them. But if we read it again slowly, it says, "And the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he hath reserved in everlasting chains under darkness unto the judgment of the great day." Okay, so that sounds like they're locked up. That sounds like the same thing Apostle Peter said. Okay, so we're going to look at that in just a moment. But a sister had asked me last week, matter of fact, let's finish verse 7. "Even as Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities about them in like manner, giving themselves over to fornication and going after strange flesh, are set forth for an example, suffering the vengeance of eternal fire." Why? Because in Genesis 6, angels lusted earth women. In Sodom and Gomorrah, the men and the women were lusting angels. The two angels that came into their town to rescue Lot and his family, the men, the Bible said all the people from round about came, okay, trying to get the angels out of Lot's house. Why? Because the men of the city, even though men, they was gay, they was going to use the women to breed with the angels to create a hybrid race. Okay? And it sounds far-fetched, but when you study it out, that's what happened. That's why God immediately destroyed it. Because ask yourself this, brothers and sisters, the world is pretty much gay. Okay? Many down low people, the pedophiles and the gays, they run the world. Okay? They're in everything, just like they said in their gay manifesto from the 70s, right? Now, if homosexuality was what got Sodom and Gomorrah destroyed, and it was just that, then how come God hasn't destroyed Jerusalem yet? Because Jerusalem is gayer than any place on earth today. Our homeland, because Esau and the Gentiles is living there, the Europeans, and they are defiling our land. It's the gayest capital, period, on earth right now. How come the Lord hasn't dealt with America with their gay pride, right? And all these other countries, Taiwan passing gay law recently, right, a few months back. Why not? Because that's not what brought the judgment of God. When God said, "The cry of Sodom and Gomorrah has come up unto me, and I've come down to see if it's like I'm hearing," it's because they were so wicked, they was trying to create another race, like what happened in Genesis 6. Only this time, the angels didn't lust after these people. The people were lusting after the angels. That's what you just said. They went after strange flesh. What's that? And so I want to mention this. Let's go to 1 Corinthians 15, because the sister asked me, does the Bible say that angels have flesh? The answer is yes. The Bible does say that. And I told her, I said, I'll show you next week. Okay, so I pray that she sees this. So 1 Corinthians 15, and we're going to pick it up at 39. Okay, 1 Corinthians 15 and verse 39. And it says, "All flesh is not the same flesh, but there is one kind of flesh of men, another flesh of beasts, another of fishes, and another of birds." So all birds have flesh. All fishes have flesh. All birds have flesh. Okay. Man has flesh, and angels have flesh. Look, verse 40. "There are also celestial bodies and bodies terrestrial, but the glory of the celestial is one, and the glory of the terrestrial is another." Okay, so the fleshes are not the same, but yes, angels have flesh. Okay, they have bodies. You understand? It's just not the same as human flesh. Just like man has a certain type of flesh, male and female, which is the same, but we don't have the same flesh as any animals, and vice versa. And so the Lord, when he tells us in his law, do not lay down with a beast to defile yourself. Why? Because offspring can be created from that, which is prohibited. You understand? You're not supposed to do that. Because that's not what the Lord, when the Bible said Adam named all the creatures, but there wasn't found a suitable helpmeet for him. You understand? He could have laid down with an animal, but that's not what you're supposed to do. Just like the angels are not supposed to do that. And they did. It's not impossible for them to do that, brothers and sisters, to have sex, okay? And we looked at something briefly on that last week. Let's go to Second Peter chapter 2. Because like I said, brothers and sisters, if the sons of Seth and the daughters of Cain truly mixed, then that is what you should see in the world. That's you should hear stories about that, because the Lord said that their children became mighty men, and they were men of fame, men of renown. But how come you don't hear about the sons of Seth and the daughters of Cain, their children? How come you hear about the sons of gods and mortal women? Think about this. Second Peter chapter 2 and verse 4. Let's see if Apostle Peter understood this thing. For if God spared not the angels that sinned. What do you mean, angels that sinned? Angels have to keep the commandments. Okay? Perhaps it goes as this. When the angels have they have certain commandments in heaven. Perhaps. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. Okay? Perhaps when they enter into this world, this physical realm, perhaps they have to abide by the same laws that we do. Okay? And so maybe it's that, right? Maybe. But the Lord said that he didn't spare them that sinned. Now, this is not the same group that is in Revelation 12. This is not the same group. Okay? And we've been over that already plenty of times. It says, but he cast them down to hell, meaning underground, deep underground. It's called the underworld. Okay? Very deep underground. And your militaries of this world, under Satan's authority, they have built these DUMBs, these deep underground military bases, such as Area 51, such as Dulce, New Mexico, okay? And they are in contact with some of these fallen angels down there. The stories you're hearing about reptilians and greys and Dracos, okay? These are the fallen angels that's underground, okay? These are them. And the governments know about these things, okay? And the trade-off, like they showed you in all these movies, Men in Black, where he's telling you that we made a treaty with the aliens, okay? Some people call them aliens, some people call them gods, but nonetheless, those of us that are in Christ, we know that these be the fallen angels, okay? So the trade-off is human blood for technology. This is why in the United States, 800,000 children go missing every year. And it doesn't get reported on the Jewish media called the news. Okay? Think about it. So let me read it again. For if God spared not the angels that sinned, but cast them down to hell and delivered them into chains of darkness to be reserved unto judgment, right? And spared not the old world, but saved Noah, the eighth person, a preacher of righteousness, bringing in the flood upon the world of the ungodly, and turning the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah into ashes, condemned them with an overthrow, making them an example unto those that after should live ungodly, and delivered just Lot, vexed with the filthy conversation of the wicked, for that righteous man dwelling among them, in seeing and hearing, vexed his righteous soul from day to day with their unlawful deeds, right? The Lord knoweth how to deliver the godly out of temptations, and to reserve the unjust unto the day of judgment to be punished. Now, why is Apostle Peter saying the exact same thing that Jude said? Why did they mention Genesis 6 and then turn around and mention Sodom and Gomorrah? Because it was reversed. Genesis 6, fallen angels lusted after earth women, the watchers, okay, lusted after earth women, had children with them. Before the flood, these titans, these giants, these hybrids, okay? And we're going to read some information on that. And in Sodom and Gomorrah, the men and women of the city lusted after the angels. So it was reversed. So God destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah with the quickness to show forth the example. You don't do this. This is prohibited. God, homosexuality is not an unforgivable sin, brothers and sisters. As long as the homosexual, the sodomite, or the lesbian repents and comes out of that, God will forgive them for that. That doesn't get you, damned immediately. It does. I ain't gonna digress, but it is a very it's a very strong spirit on homosexuals and lesbians, but it's not unforgivable if they just repent, if they come out of that. But trying to mix flesh, that's when you crossing the line. That's when God start bringing judgment. You understand? Righteous judgment. Let's go to Genesis 14. Let's dive deep into Sodom and Gomorrah. Let me show you that they had a treaty with giants. Sodom and Gomorrah did. Genesis 14 and verse 1. And it came to pass in the days of Amraphel, king of Shinar, Arioch, king of Elasar, Chedorlaomer, king of Elam, and Tidal, king of nations, Gentiles, king of the nations. These that made war with Bera, king of Sodom, and with Bersha, king of Gomorrah, Shinab, king of Admah, and Shemember, king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, which is Zoar. All these were joined together in the vale of Siddim, which is the Salt Sea. So you have 4 kings against 5 kings, right? It says all these were joined together in the vale of Siddim, which is the Salt Sea. 12 years they served Chedorlaomer, and in the 13th year they rebelled. So it was 4 kings with 5 kings, okay, against, I think I said that right the first time. Verse 5, and in the 14th year came Chedorlaomer and the kings that were with him and smote the Rephaims, which were giants, in Ashtaroth Canarm. That now the giants, they worshiped Ashtaroth, which is the same female goddess that people worship today, called Easter. Okay, it was formerly known as Ishtar, the queen of the heaven. Okay, the queen of heaven, Ishtar, Ashtaroth. Okay, same person. It says, and smote the Rephaims in Ashtaroth Carnaim, and the Zuzims, which Moses talked about, the Zuzimims or Zuzims, okay, which are another race of giants, okay, hybrids, in Ham, and the Emims in Shava Kirathaim, which are more giants. Verse 6, and the Horites in their Mount Seir unto Elparan, which is by the wilderness. Now the Horites were a seed of Japhet. Those the cavemen, okay, that they show you in the Geico commercials, okay, the ones that was banging on the rocks and all that, okay. This is Japhet seed, a branch of Europeans, the Horites. They was living in Mount Seir, but God was giving Mount Seir to the Edomites, some Shemites. So at this time, he was using other people to push Japheth's seed up north, because Japheth was not supposed to dwell in Canaan, in that vicinity, that area, you know, all around Canaan, all the lands that the Lord gave to the Shemites, Moab, Ammon, Mount Seir, okay. Japheth is supposed to stay up north, okay. So the Lord set this all up. It says, and they returned and came to in Mishpat, which is Kadesh, and smote all the country of the Amalekites and also the Amorites that dwelt in Hazaz Tamar. I probably butchered that, but whatever. And there went out the king of Sodom, and the king of Gomorrah, and the king of Admah, and the king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, the same as Zor, and they joined battle with them in the vale of Siddim, with Chedorlaomer, the king of Elam, and Tidal, king of nations, and Armphel, king of Shinar, and Arioch, king of Elasar, 4 kings with 5, okay. And the vale of Siddim was full of slime pits, and the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fled and fell there, and they that remained fled to the mountain. So when the giants got whooped on, okay, then they started running, okay. They fled to the mountains, okay. And that's why later on you start seeing them again in these mountainous places, okay. And they took all the goods of Sodom and Gomorrah and all their victuals and went their way. And they took Lot, so the giants and their allies, because they had human allies, okay. They took Lot, Abram's brother's son, who dwelt in Sodom, and his goods, and departed. And there came one that had escaped and told Abram the Hebrew, for he dwelt in the plain of Mamre the Amorite, brother of Eshcol and brother of Anar. And these were confederate with Abram. So even Abram had dealings. Look at this. It said that there came one that had escaped from Sodom, right? And told Abram, and it said that Abram had dwelt in the plain of Mamre the Amorite. Okay, now the Amorites were they were Hamites, but it was some giants that was living there too. Okay, brother of Eshcol, the brother of Anar, and these were confederate with with Abram. And when Abram heard that his brother was taken captive, he armed his trained servants born in his own house, 318, and pursued them unto Dan, followed after the giants to get his nephew back. And he divided himself against them, he and his servants, by night, and smote them, and pursued them unto Hobah, which is on the left hand of Damascus. And he brought back all the goods, and also brought again his brother Lot and his goods, and the women also, and the people. So we're not done yet. Let's look at chapter 18. Genesis chapter 18. So even Abraham and his 318 servants went after these giants and whooped on them and got his nephew back. Okay. Just to show you what was happening leading up to the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, there was allegiances between flesh men and women and the Nephilim, the giants, the hybrids. Okay. Genesis 18 and verse 1. And the Lord appeared unto him in the plains of Mamre, and he sat in the tent door in the heat of the day, and he lifted up his eyes and looked, and lo, 3 men stood by him. 3 men, these was angels. And when he saw them, he ran to meet them from the tent door and bowed himself toward the ground. So there was something about these men that Abraham knew they wasn't just regular humans. Okay? Even though they look like humans. It's something different about when you see an angel, and even in the flesh. Apostle Paul said, be careful to entertain strangers, because we've entertained angels unawares. Okay? Why? Because they look like us when they come down here. They don't come looking, all glistened up like the Twilight vampires. Okay? They look like men. So look, it says, he bowed himself toward the ground and said, my Lord, if now I have found favor in thy sight, pass not away, I pray thee, from thy servant. Let a little water, I pray you, be fetched, and wash your feet, and rest yourselves under the tree. And I will fetch a morsel of bread, and comfort ye your hearts. After that ye shall pass on, for therefore are ye come to your servant. And they said, so do as thou hast said. And Abraham hastened into the tent unto Sarah, and said, make ready quickly 3 measures of fine meal, knead it, and make cakes upon the hearth. And Abraham ran unto the herd, and fetched a calf tender and good, and gave it unto a young man, and he hasted to dress it. And he took butter and milk and the calf which he had dressed, and set it before them, and he stood by them under the tree, and they did eat. And they said unto him, where is Sarah thy wife? And he said, behold, in the tent. And he said, I will certainly return unto thee according to the time of life, and lo, Sarah thy wife shall have a son. And Sarah heard it in the tent door which was behind him. Now Abraham and Sarah were old and well stricken in age, and it ceased to be with Sarah after the manner of women. So she was past her prime, basically. Okay. Therefore Sarah laughed within herself, saying, after I am waxed old, shall I have pleasure, my Lord being old also? And the Lord said unto Abraham, wherefore did Sarah laugh, saying, shall I of a surety bear a child which am old? Is anything too hard for the Lord? At the time appointed I will return unto thee according to the time of life, and Sarah shall have a son. Then Sarah denied, saying, I laughed not, for she was afraid. And he said, nay, but thou didst laugh. Now, quickly, I want you to understand something. These 3 men, one of them was not the Most High. The Lord Jesus did not come and speak directly to Abraham. He was speaking through one of the angels, okay? Only one of them. He was speaking directly through him. That's why I said the Lord came to Abraham. The Lord didn't come from heaven and stand there and was talking with Abraham. Okay, just like the Lord didn't come from heaven and get to talking to Moses at the burning bush. It was an angel on his behalf. Okay, a holy angel. Nevertheless, Verse 16, and the men rose up from thence and looked toward Sodom. And Abraham went with them to bring them on the way. And the Lord said, shall I hide from Abraham that thing which I do? Seeing that Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him. For I know him that he will command his children and his household after him, and they shall keep the way of the Lord to do justice and judgment, that the Lord may bring upon Abraham that which he hath spoken of him. And the Lord said, because the cry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great, because the cry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great. Why? Because they had dealings with these giants, these hybrids, okay? And stuff was getting jacked up, as you can imagine. And because their sin is very grievous. You telling me homosexuality is very grievous unto the Lord? If that's the case, again, how come he haven't wiped out Jerusalem yet? How come he haven't dealt with America yet? And they gay pride, okay? How come? Because that's not what the scriptures is letting us know that got Sodom and Gomorrah destroyed. It was because they was trying to have sex with angels and create more hybrids, okay, to their advantage. The regular people of the land, okay. Verse 21, I will go down now and see whether they have done altogether according to the cry of it, which is come unto me, and if not, I will know. And the men turned their faces from thence and went toward Sodom. But Abraham stood yet before the Lord. So we seen in Genesis 14 that we had 4 kings with 5 against, they was warring, right? And we seen that these was giants, okay? There was giants in the mix. And these 4 kings with 5, they was whooping on the giants, and the remnant of the giants, they fled and hid in the mountains. Okay, so, but you still had peoples of the land that made confederate with the Nephilim, with the giants. And of course, they would sacrifice to them human people. Okay, ain't nothing new under the sun. They did it before the flood. So they did it after the flood too. Okay, they would bring human sacrifices to these people. What do you think about Bohemian Grove? Okay, they got a big old statue of an owl, and they do mock sacrifices of little children to the Molech statue. What is that about? It's about this, what we going over, the Genesis 6, the hybrids, okay? Yeah, they worship Molech. Yeah, they worship Baal, okay? Half man, half bull, hybrid, okay? And they sacrifice children, they sacrifice people to these demon gods, okay? For power, for wealth, for fertility. You understand? So it says, the men turned their faces from thence and went toward Sodom, but Abraham stood yet before the Lord. And Abraham drew near and said, wilt thou also destroy the righteous with the wicked? Think about that. Think about that. Let's look at chapter 19 and verse 1. Genesis 19 and verse 1. Because we just read in in 2 Peter that the Lord delivered Lot from Sodom and Gomorrah, right? Because he was the only one there that was righteous. Only him. Even his wife turned back. And his children did something. They committed incest with their father. Got him pissy drunk. Which is bad on their part. And nevertheless, the Lord said that he delivered Lot. Well, what about the days of Noah? The Lord delivered Noah. Okay? And of course, he saved his house. The Lord said that if there be one righteous in the house, I'll save the whole house for the one. You see, that don't mean eternal salvation. That just means, from trouble. I'll bless the house for the one saint. Okay. So, let's look at this. Genesis 19 and verse 1. And there came 2 angels to Sodom at even. And Lot sat in the gate of Sodom. And Lot, seeing them, rose up to meet them. And he bowed himself with his face toward the ground. And he said, behold now, my lords, turn in, I pray you, into your servant's house, and tarry all night, and wash your feet, and ye shall rise up early and go on your ways. And they said, nay, but we will abide in the street all night. Now, how did Lot know that these wasn't regular humans? Why he's saying my lords, my masters? That you didn't just see, and even in these days, you didn't just see a person walking down the street, another human being, and say, hey, what's up, my lord? You didn't say that. But it was something peculiar about these men to where Even Abraham, when he saw them a far way off, he knew that they was angels. When Lot saw them a far way off, he knew that they was angels, brothers and sisters. And it says in verse 3, and he pressed upon them greatly, and they turned in unto him, and entered into his house, and he made them a feast, and did bake unleavened bread, and they did eat. So this just come to me just now. This is most likely what's going to happen during when Jacob's trouble kicks off. The angel's going to come, or an angel is going to come and take all them that are appointed to the wilderness. He's going to take them there. He's going to show them the way. Just a side note, back to the lesson. It says, he made them a feast and did bake unleavened bread, and they did eat. They did eat. They did eat. That means they got a digestive system. If they have a digestive system, then you're telling me they don't have any way to get it out? They don't have no exit holes? Come on, brothers and sisters. Let's reason together. Okay? They ate. But before they lay down, the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, compassed the house round, both old and young, all the people from every quarter. And they called unto Lot and said unto him, where are the men? Now let me read that part again. Verse 4, but before they lay down, the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, compassed the house round, both old and young. Now that's all the men, right? Old and young. All the people from every quarter. That's what I was telling you earlier. The men of Sodom and Gomorrah was going to use their women counterparts to have sex with the angels, these two angels, to create a hybrid race. That's what got them destroyed. So let's continue to read. And they called unto Lot and said unto him, where are the men which came into thee this night? Bring them out unto us that we may know them. Okay, the men wanted to rape them, but they was going to use their women to reproduce with them. Genesis 6 again. Except this time the men and the women was lusting after the angels and not the other way around. Okay, it says, and Lot went out at the door unto them and shut the door after him and said, I pray you, brethren, do not so wickedly. Behold now, I have two daughters which have not known man. Let me, I pray you, bring them out unto you, and do ye to them as is good in your eyes. Only unto these men do nothing, for therefore came they under the shadow of my roof. And they said, stand back. And they said again, this one fellow came in to sojourn, and he will needs be a judge. Now will we deal worse with thee than with them. And they pressed sore upon the man, even Lot, and came near to break the door. But the men, the angels, put forth their hand and pulled Lot into the house to them and shut to the door. And they smote the men that were at the door of the house with blindness, both small and great, so that they wearied themselves to find the door. And the men said unto Lot, now this happened all night, okay, where they can't find their way. You understand? All night. It says, and the men said unto Lot, hast thou here any besides son-in-law and thy sons and thy daughters and whatsoever thou hast in the city? Bring them out of this place. For we will destroy this place, because the cry of them is waxing great before the face of the Lord, and the Lord have sent us to destroy it. Why? Because they was trying to recreate Genesis 6. That is what Sodom and Gomorrah was doing. That is what the world is doing now, trying to recreate Genesis 6. This is what CERN is all about. This is what the RFID technology is all about. This is what the nanotechnology is all about. Trying to recreate Genesis 6, merging man with not only with machines, but merging man with the hybrid blood to create a superhuman race. Okay, Satan told Eve, if you deal with me, I will show you how to become gods, little g. His plan has not changed, brothers and sisters. This is what the end is all about. That's why the master said it's going to be like it was in the days of Noah when I return. We'll come back to that. So it says, and the Lord have sent us to destroy it, right? Verse 14. And Lot went out and spake unto his sons-in-law, which married his daughters. They hadn't had sex with them yet, but they was in covenant, okay, engaged, and said, up, get you out of this place, for the Lord will destroy this city. But he seemed as one that mocked unto his sons-in-law. They thought he was joking, okay? And when the morning arose, so the people of the city, the men and the women, the old and the young, okay, everybody, they still blind, still dealing with that blindness, all the way till the morning, right? It says, and when the morning arose, then the angels hastened Lot, saying, Arise, take thy wife and thy two daughters, which are here, lest thou be consumed in the iniquity of the city, right? And while he lingered, because he really didn't want to leave, think about, now this is a side note, think about when Jesus said, when Jacob's trouble kicks off, he said, if you're in the city, don't come back to your house. He said, if you're on the rooftop, don't go down into your house. If you're on the rooftop of your house, he said, don't go down, don't go pack nothing, just run, just get out of there. So this seems to, be a thing where people, when it's time to leave, people be trying to linger, because they don't really understand or they don't really want to get up out of there. It said, while he lingered, the men laid hold upon his hand. What you mean they laid? How can if angels don't have flesh, how can they touch us? How can they hold? How can they grab hold of things? It said they laid hold upon his hand, grabbed Lot by the hand, okay, and upon the hand of his wife, and upon the hand of his two daughters, the Lord being merciful unto him, okay, and they brought him forth and set him without the city. And it came to pass, when they had brought them forth abroad, that he said, Escape for thy life, look not behind thee, neither stay thou in all the plain. Escape to the mountain, lest thou be consumed. Escape to the mountain, lest you get destroyed, right? But watch this. And Lot said unto them, Oh, not so, my Lord. Behold now, thy servant hath found grace in thy sight, and thou hast magnified thy mercy, which thou hast showed unto me in saving my life. And I cannot escape to the mountain, lest some evil take me and I die. Well, we read in Genesis 14 that when the 4 kings with 5 whooped on the kings of trying to remember, the kings of Sodom, right, and Gomorrah, and their allies, their giant allies, right? Yeah, it said that they was whooping on the Rephaims and Ashtaroth, the Zuzims, and Ham, and the Emims, okay, and the Horites. So he's whooping on them. These are humans with Nephilim allies, hybrid allies, right? So notice, Lot, when the angels told him, look, run to the mountains, okay, Lot didn't want to go. Why? Because the giants was there. The giants was in the mountains, right? That's why he didn't want to go. That's why he said, lest some evil take me and I die. Because these hybrids were known to be cannibals, to eat people. Okay? Look at this, verse 20. Behold now, this city is near to flee unto, and it is a little one. Oh, let me escape thither. Is it not a little one? And my soul shall live. And he said unto him, now the Lord was going to destroy even Zoar. Okay? He was going to destroy Zoar too. But he spared Zoar because of Lot. He spared Zoar from destroying it because of Lot, brothers and sisters. Look at this. And he said unto him, See, I have accepted thee concerning this thing also, that I will not overthrow this city for the which thou hast spoken. Haste thee, escape thither, for I cannot do anything till thou be come thither. Therefore the name of the city was called Zoar. The sun was risen upon the earth when Lot entered into Zoar. Then the Lord rained upon Sodom and upon Gomorrah brimstone and fire from the Lord out of heaven. And he overthrew those cities and all the plain and all the inhabitants of the cities and that which grew upon the ground. But his wife looked back from behind him, and she became a pillar of salt. And Abraham got up early in the morning to the place where he stood before the Lord, and he looked toward Sodom and Gomorrah and toward all the plain, the land of the plain, and beheld, and lo, the smoke of the country went up as the smoke of a furnace. And it came to pass, when God destroyed the cities of the plain, that God remembered Abraham and sent Lot out of the midst of the overthrow, when he overthrew the cities in the which Lot dwelt. And Lot went up out of Zoar and dwelt in the mountain, and his two daughters with him, for he feared to dwell in Zoar, and he dwelt in a cave, he and his two daughters. So instead of staying in Zoar, he was like, well, I'm just going to get up out of here too, so after he saw what happened to Sodom and Gomorrah, okay, in the neighboring cities. So that's another part to this, right? To show you that's the real reason that Sodom and Gomorrah got destroyed. It was because they was trying to mix flesh. like Genesis 6. Okay, it was not just because of homosexuality. And I showed you that when the two angels came into their town, the men, all the men, old and young, and the women, because it said all the people. That all the people is not just men. Okay, all the people, men and women, old and young, came because they was going to take them angels and they was going to have sex. The women was going to have sex with them, and to create Genesis 6 again, hybrid children. Okay, that's what got them burned up. And the example is that's what's going to happen to the fallen angels and their children. Okay, the lake of fire, smoke of the furnace, right? So I want you to ponder this too, brothers and sisters. There's over 500 flood stories in the world, over 500. So marinate on that, okay? Because the fact that there's so many flood stories lets you know that it did indeed happen. But what you need to focus on when you're researching it out is the fact that everybody agrees about what happened prior to that. That the watchers or the little g gods or the aliens came from the sky, had sex with earth women, created had their own children, and then the flood came. Okay, and their children were famous because they were demigods. They were half deity, half mortal. Okay, like we looked at earlier. Now, let's go to Genesis chapter 6 and verse 1. Genesis chapter 6 and verse 1. Okay, and then I want to read some more articles to you. So it says, and it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them. Did not say when the daughters of Cain began to be multiplied. It said when men, that's universal, that's all flesh, all human flesh. When men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, the daughters of men, that the sons of God, again, nobody can prove the sons of God is the sons of Seth, because the Lord never referred to the lineage of Seth as his sons. He never said that. And furthermore, he never gave a commandment to the sons of Seth to not mix with the daughters of Cain. He never said that. Okay? So it says that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair. Angels, watchers, saw the daughters of men, that they were beautiful, and they took them wives of all which they chose. Forcibly. You understand? And the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that. Okay? When the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown, famous. These hybrids were famous. Why you don't find stories about famous sons of Seth who married the daughters of Cain? How come you don't find stories about that, but you find stories about famous hybrids? You need to think about this. Okay? And the fallen angels did it before the flood, and then after the flood, the seed did not carry through the flood. The fallen angels that were on the earth, that were under Satan's authority at that point, okay? Because if a spirit, when the giants died, their spirits became evil spirits. They are immortal, okay? But when their flesh died, okay, their spirit lives on. And these are the wicked or unclean spirits that Jesus referred to. You unclean spirit, right? These are the spirits of the giants, of the Nephilim, okay? But the fallen angels, even when they abduct people, sometimes, a lot of people have told stories about being abducted and being experimented on, being probed on these UFOs. You understand? By these, what they call little grays, okay? So these are things to research out, and instead of just calling something crazy because you don't understand. It says in verse 5, and God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. Why? Because of what he was taught. And once that seed got in the world, then it sprouted, and it became it corrupted everybody. Watch this. And it repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. It was painful for the Most High to even see this. And the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth. Now, why is he going to say what he says next? Both man and beast. What did the beast do? What did the animals do? We're going to find out. And the creeping thing and the fowls of the air, for it repenteth me that I have made them. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. Okay, now let me show you something. Got some more notes for you, okay? And just hold your marker. We're going to let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 4. I mean, not Deuteronomy, Daniel chapter 4. And we're going to come right back to that. Daniel chapter 4. Okay, but I want to show you some more articles, okay, some more proof. All right, so this guy's name is Julius Africanus, okay, white guy. It says Sextus Julius Africanus, 160 to 240 AD, is perhaps the first to radically reinterpret and misinterpret the Genesis 6 affair as pertaining to what has come to be known as the Sethite view, which claims that the sons of God are the godly lineage of Seth. Why only males and why all godly? That's a question you got to ask yourself. And the daughters of men are the ungodly lineage of Cain. Why only females and why all ungodly? As, for example, chronicled in section 2 of the extant fragments of the 5 books of the chronography of Julius Africanus, he wrote, when men multiplied on the earth, the angels of heaven came together with the daughters of men. In some copies, I found the sons of God. What is meant by the Spirit, in my opinion, is that the descendants of Seth are called the sons of God on account of the righteous men and patriarchs who have sprung from them, even down to the Savior himself, but that the descendants of Cain are named the seed of men as having nothing divine in them on account of the wickedness of their race and the inequality of their nature, being a mixed people and having stirred the indignation of God. And then I want to read this part. It says, and this is what he looked like. So then it said, in any case, note that Julius Africanus' claims are, in my opinion, and he provides no biblical backing for his opinion that from the descendants of Seth, apparently exclusively, righteous men and patriarchs sprung, but the descendants of Cain, apparently exclusively, have nothing divine in them. In fact, we do not know that they, in general and as a lineage, stirred the indignation of God, but know only that Cain did so. Julius Africanus ends this section thusly. But if it is thought that these refer to angels, we must take them to be those who deal with magic and jugglery, who taught the women the motions of the stars and the knowledge of things celestial, by whose power they conceived the giants as their children, by whom wickedness came to its height on the earth, until God decreed that the whole race of the living should perish in their impiety by the deluge. Thus he was clearly aware of the common understanding of Genesis 6, and even touches upon extra biblical claims about the actions of these angels, as the Bible does not relate what they taught, but apocryphal works such as the Book of Enoch do. Note just how the times and personal opinions have changed to the extent that Africanus can, in his time, note that it is thought that these refer to angels, but in 1831 AD, Adam Clarke notes that in his time there's a distinction made here between men and those called the sons of God. It is generally supposed that the immediate posterity of Cain and that of Seth are intended. The first were mere men, such as fallen nature may produce, degenerate sons of a degenerate father, governed by the desire of the flesh, the desire of the eye, and the pride of life. The others were sons of God, not angels as some have dreamed, but such as were, according to our Lord's doctrine, born again, born from above. Clarke offers no elucidating data from the Bible's contents, concepts, and context, but merely refers to the original and thus ancient interpretation as being something dreamed up. So when it comes down to it, Julius Africanus, he was with the Catholic Church, okay, and he knew and he actually wrote an article talking about Genesis 6, but he backtracked because the Catholic Church had the penalty for talking about stuff like that or teaching it was death. They would kill you in those days for talking about what really happened in Genesis 6. And so he backtracked, and so did the other guy, to say, oh, people, they mention it first, but then they'll say, oh, well, people have dreamed this up. That's not real. But it is real, And if you're being led of the spirit of Yah, then he will show you the truth. He will show you the truth. You're not going to have to bend the scriptures to make it say something that it's not saying. It's going to say what it's saying, and you're going to understand it. The Lord said in Proverbs, he will pour out his spirit unto us. He will make known his ways unto us. So he make known his words unto us, right? So when it comes down to it, people are trying to say, oh, this is about the sons of Seth and the daughters of Cain. This is about angels lusting earth women and reproducing with them, having seed with them, these titans, these giants, okay, these hybrids. This is, you study it out, you see for yourself. That's all I'm saying. You study it out, you'll see for yourself, man. Now, I want to read this to you. This is from the book of Enoch, okay? This is chapter 7 and verse 1. This is picking up where Genesis 6 left off, okay? It says, it happened after the sons of men had multiplied in those days that daughters were born to them, elegant, and beautiful. Now, side note, okay, the Book of Enoch was found amongst the Dead Sea Scrolls in the 3rd century BC, okay, very long time ago, okay, so a lot of Israelites were familiar with this book. It's not in the Bible, but it's just like the Jewish encyclopedia is not in the Bible, but these brothers be using that, okay, to verify history concerning our people. The last 2 million years is not in the Bible, but they use that to verify history concerning our people or the truth. Okay, so every book is not, just because it doesn't agree 100% with the book, with the Holy Bible, doesn't mean you can't understand some things and match some things, take from that and understand some things that's mentioned in the Holy Scriptures better. Okay, that's why the Lord says, prove all things, okay, and hold fast that which is good. Why? Because, okay, the mythologies don't agree with the word of God 100%, but what I can take from the mythologies is the fact that they're agreeing about Genesis 6. So now I'm seeing more proof. Oh, okay, so even they understand. They making statues to these famous hybrids, okay, Hercules and them. Nevertheless, it says, verse 2, and when the angels, the sons of heaven, beheld them, they became enamored of them, saying to each other, come, let us select for ourselves wives from the progeny of men, and let us beget children. Verse 3, then their leader Semyaza said to them, I fear that you may perhaps be indisposed to the performance of this enterprise, and that I alone shall suffer for so grievous a crime. But they answered him and said, we all swear and bond ourselves by mutual extrications that we will not change our intention but execute our projected undertaking. So this is what you see on Paramount Pictures, the intro. When it comes on, it shows you stars coming out of the heavens going on the mountain, okay, because the angels descended upon Mount Hermon, okay, and this is where they made their agreement. They bound themselves to this mutual agreement, and they did this evil in Genesis 6. Verse 7, then they swore all together and all bound themselves by mutual extrications. Their whole number was 200 who descended upon Ardis, which is the top of Mount Armon or Hermon. Okay. That mountain therefore was called Armon because they had sworn upon it and bound themselves by mutual extrications or curse. Verse 9. Well, I'm going to skip verse 9 because it gives you their names. Okay. And some of these I can't pronounce. So then it says, Verse 10, then they took wives, each choosing for himself whom they began to approach, and with whom they cohabited, teaching them sorcery, incantations, and the dividing of roots and trees. And the women conceiving brought forth giants. Okay. And of course, you had different races. You had the Titans first, then you had some people say the Nephilim, but they were giants. You had giants after that, but you had Titans first. Okay. These Titans were extremely tall. Okay. It says, whose stature was each 300 cubits. These devoured all which the labor of men produced until it became impossible to feed them, when they turned themselves against men in order to devour them, and began to injure birds, beasts, reptiles, and fishes, to eat their flesh one after another, and to drink their blood. So even when they injured them, the fallen angels also taught man how to splice DNA, how to do alchemy. It just showed us they taught the women how to do sorcery, okay, which some people call magic, is witchcraft, okay, incantations, the dividing of roots, okay, so DNA manipulation, mixing this with that and getting this. This is why we looked at last week the hybrid satyr in Isaiah 13. Okay, the satyr was a half human, half goat. Who taught man how to make that? The fallen angels did. Genesis 6. Okay, even cloning, which we'll get into. So it says, then the earth reproved the unrighteous. Chapter 8. Moreover, Azazel taught men to make swords, knives, shields, breastplates, the fabrication of mirrors, and the workmanship of bracelets and ornaments, the use of paint, the beautifying of the eyebrows, the use of stones of every valuable and select kind, and all sorts of dyes, so that the world became altered. Impiety increased, fornication multiplied, and they transgressed and corrupted all their ways. Amzarach taught all the sorcerers and dividers of roots. Armors taught the solution of sorcery. Barachiel taught the observers of the stars, which is astrologer. Achabil taught signs. Tamiel taught astronomy. And Azaretto taught the motion of the moon. And men being destroyed cried out, and their voice reached to heaven. Okay? Now, let me see. Yeah. Now, let's get back to the word, and let me show you something. Daniel chapter 4 and verse 8. Daniel chapter 4 and verse 8. But at the last, Daniel came in before me, whose name was Belteshazzar, according to the name of my God. Think about that. Little g, the name of his God. Okay. Which is these hybrids, and even they fathers, the fallen angels. Okay. That's who the nations worship. That's why the Lord said all the gods, little g, of the nations are idols. Okay. Idols. Because and then he turned around and say, they did not create nothing. He said they didn't create the heavens. They didn't create the earth. They didn't create anything. These gods are nothing. Because he referring to the fallen angels and their children, the Nephilim, the hybrids. Okay. The middle of verse 8. And in whom is the spirit of the holy gods. And before him I told the dream, saying, O Belteshazzar, master of the magicians. Notice how Nebuchadnezzar is still deceived. Don't even understand that Daniel worshiped the God of Israel. Okay, Yah. He's saying you are a master of the magicians. He think he a sorcerer. Okay, or dealing with a familiar spirit. It says, because I know that the spirit of the holy gods, notice how it's a little g, okay, because Nebuchadnezzar still don't get it, okay, because I know that the spirit of the holy gods is in thee, and no secret troubleth thee. Tell me the visions of my dream that I have seen, and the interpretation thereof. So Daniel tells him the dream, right? Let's skip down to verse 13. I saw in the visions of my head upon my bed, and behold, a watcher, which is it's a type of angel, okay, a watcher and an holy one came down from heaven. He cried aloud and said thus, hew down the tree and cut off his branches, shake off his leaves and scatter his fruit, Let the beast get away from under it, and the fowls from his branches. Nevertheless, leave the stump of his roots in the earth, even with a band of iron and brass, in the tender grass of the field, and let it be wet with the dew of heaven, and let his portion be with the beast in the grass of the earth. Let his heart be changed from man's, and let a beast's heart be given unto him, and let 7 times pass over him, 7 years. This matter is by the decree of the watchers. For all them that say, oh, the watchers is not in the Bible. Right here, it just says it. This matter is by the decree of the watchers, and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will, and setteth up over it the basest of men. This dream I, King Nebuchadnezzar, have seen. Now thou, O Belteshazzar, declare the interpretation thereof. For as much as all the wise men of my kingdom are not able to make known unto me the interpretation, but thou art able, for the spirit of the holy gods is in thee. Then Daniel, whose name was Belteshazzar, was astonished for 1 hour, and his thoughts troubled him. The king spake and said, Belteshazzar, let not the dream or the interpretation thereof trouble thee. Belteshazzar answered and said, My lord, the dream be to them that hate thee, and the interpretation thereof to thine enemies. The tree that thou sawest, which grew and was strong, whose height reached unto the heaven, and the sight thereof to all the earth, whose leaves were fair, and the fruit thereof much, and in it was meat for all, under which the beasts of the field dwelt, and upon whose branches the fowls of the heaven had their habitation. It is thou, O king, thou art grown and become strong, for thy greatness is grown, and reacheth unto heaven, and thy dominion to the end of the earth. And whereas the king saw a watcher and an holy one come down from heaven, and saying, Hew the tree down and destroy it, yet leave the stump of the roots thereof in the earth, even with a band of iron and brass in the tender grass of the field, and let it be wet with the dew of heaven, and let his portion be with the beasts of the field, till 7 times pass over him. This is the interpretation, O king, and this is the decree of the Most High, which is come upon my lord the king, that they shall drive thee from men, and thy dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field, and they shall make thee to eat grass as oxen, and they shall wet thee with the dew of heaven, and 7 times shall pass over thee, till thou know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will. And whereas they commanded to leave the stump of the tree roots, thy kingdom shall be sure unto thee, after thou shalt have known that the heavens do rule. Okay? Now, what we need to understand is that the Bible's telling us there's a group of angels called watchers. So when you read the scriptures, you'll find watchers, you'll find holy ones, you'll find seraphim, you'll find cherubims, okay? And you'll find beasts, okay? 4 beasts, okay? Whether they be archangels or not, I'm not certain. But let's go even further. Because the angels that sinned in Genesis 6 were called watchers, okay? And I'm going to show you that. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 17. Leviticus 17, and we're going to pick it up at verse 10, okay? And these things, when the Lord is saying don't do this, don't do that, that's because mankind at large learned to do all this evil from the fallen angels, okay? We just read that in the book of Enoch. Now, you might be interested in looking up, the giant tree stumps. Okay, let me see if I can find some pictures for you real quick. Just to show you a little bit. Okay. And like I said, you look this up for yourself. Okay. Just gonna show you a few pictures and then that's it. I don't know if you can see that. Okay, so now look at this. I don't know if you can see that, brothers and sisters, but look at how giant that tree is, that stump. Like I said, just type that in on DuckDuckGo or whatever search engine you're using, Google, and you'll see that. Okay, giant tree stumps. And ask yourself, where did they come from? And who cut the trees down? Okay, when were they cut down? You need to know these things. You need to know. Okay, these things have been hidden from us. Let's look at Leviticus 17 in verse 10. And it says, "And whatsoever man there be of the house of Israel or of the strangers that sojourn among you, that eateth any manner of blood, I will even set my face against that soul that eateth blood, and will cut him off from among his people. For the life of the flesh is in the blood, and I have given it to you upon the altar to make an atonement for your souls, for it is the blood that maketh an atonement for the soul. Therefore I said unto the children of Israel, no soul of you shall eat blood, neither shall any stranger that sojourneth among you eat blood. And whatsoever man there be of the children of Israel or of the strangers that sojourn among you, which hunteth and catcheth any beast or fowl that may be eaten, he shall even pour out the blood thereof and cover it with dust. For it is the life of all flesh, the blood of it is for the life thereof. Therefore I said unto the children of Israel, ye shall eat the blood of no manner of flesh. For the life of all flesh is the blood thereof. Whosoever eateth it shall be cut off. And every soul that eateth that which died of itself, or that which was torn with beast, whether it be one of your own country or a stranger, he shall both wash his clothes and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the even. Then shall he be clean. But if he wash them not, nor bathe his flesh, then he shall bear his iniquity." So, we read in the book of Enoch, the Nephilim, the giants, they was eating everything. And then they began to eat men too, cannibals. This is why the 10 spies didn't want to go into the land, because they said they eat up the inhabitants of the land. This is why Lot didn't want to go to the mountains at first, because he said, some evil gonna befall me, because he knew that these giants was cannibals. Okay, but then he figured it would be better to go up there anyway. He probably the Bible said he found a cave, right? Instead of staying in Zoar, which was a city that the Lord was going to destroy along with Sodom and Gomorrah, but he spared it for Lot's sake. Okay, so the Lord said, don't drink blood, don't eat the blood, right? Of anything. Why? Because the blood is life. So these cannibals, you could see that the hybrid cannibals, they love to eat, or they are devourers of life. They are literally the walking dead. Literally. Okay, where they not only eat flesh, but they drink the blood, and the Lord said the blood is life. Okay, so think about these things. Let's go to chapter 18 and verse 1. Leviticus 18 and 1. "And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, I am the Lord your God. After the doings of the land of Egypt, wherein ye dwelt, shall ye not do. And after the doings of the land of Canaan, whither I bring you, shall ye not do. Neither shall ye walk in their ordinances," meaning their laws. Okay, and these nations had laws to where they had to sacrifice to these hybrids. Okay, these offspring of the watchers. Okay, they had laws set up about that. "Ye shall do my judgments and keep mine ordinances," which is laws, "to walk therein. I am the Lord your God. Ye shall therefore keep my statutes and my judgments, which if a man do, he shall live in them. I am the Lord." So it's important that we be under the blood of Messiah. It's important that we be faithful to Jesus Christ. It's important that we keep God's commandments, because we don't wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the unseen things. Fallen angels that are not bound up in hell, and also their offspring, these unclean, wicked, foul spirits. Okay, that's what we're wrestling against. Verse 6, "None of you shall approach to any that is near of kin to him to uncover their nakedness. I am the Lord." Let's skip down to verse 20. Leviticus 18 and verse 20. "Moreover, thou shalt not lie carnally with thy neighbor's wife to defile thyself with her," which is what the angels did. Okay, committed adultery. Again, Psalm 103, starting at 19 and 20, I believe, tells you that the angels got to keep the commandments of God. Okay, they have to keep the commandments. So again, maybe it's possible, I'm not saying I'm right, I'm just saying maybe it's possible that in heaven there's a set of laws for the angels. Down here they abide by our laws. You understand? Could be. Not saying I'm right, I'm just saying it could be possible, right? Nevertheless, being in this world, in this physical world, you everything abides by the word of God. And perhaps animals have their own sets of laws that God gave them. Okay. We're not digressing into that. I'm just putting that out there. Okay. Verse 21, and thou shalt not let any of thy seed pass through the fire to Molech, neither shalt thou profane the name of thy God. I am the Lord. Okay, now you have to ask yourself, where did all these false gods come from? Molech and Baal. Where did they come from? Astaroth. Where did they come from? You understand? People don't just have a wild imagination where they say, I'm going to make up my own thing. No, people go off what they see and what they hear. You understand? Think about that for a moment. It says, thou shalt not lie with mankind as with womankind. It is abomination. Okay. Neither shalt thou lie with any beast to defile thyself therewith. Neither shall any woman stand before a beast to lie down thereto. It is confusion. Because you can create offspring like that, brothers and sisters. I'm going to show you some stuff here in a second. I'm going to show you some stuff. Okay. Some fresh articles from recent years showing you that in these science labs, they are creating hybrids. Half human, half this. Okay? Back to the days of Genesis 6. Back to the days of Noah. Verse 24, defile not ye yourselves in any of these things, for in all these the nations are defiled, which I cast out before you. And the land is defiled, therefore I do visit the iniquity thereof upon it, and the land itself vomiteth out her inhabitants. Ye shall therefore keep my statutes and my judgments, and shall not commit any of these abominations, neither any of your own nation, nor any stranger that sojourneth among you. For all these abominations have the men of the land done which were before you, and the land is defiled, that the land spew not you out also when ye defile it, as it spewed out the nations that were before you. For whosoever shall commit any of these abominations, even the souls that commit them shall be cut off from among their people. Therefore shall ye keep mine ordinance, that ye commit not any one of these abominable customs which were committed before you, and that ye defile not yourselves therein. I am the Lord your God. Period, point blank. Let's look at chapter 19 and verse 19. Leviticus 19 and verse 19. Ye shall keep my statutes. Thou shalt not let thy cattle gender with a diverse kind or a different kind. Why? Because it creates a hybrid, like a donkey and a horse creates a mule, right? And the Lord talks about mules in the Bible, but that's a hybrid. Okay, they have sheep goat hybrids. Okay, it's not supposed to be. The Lord said in Genesis in the beginning that he made everything after its kind. Okay, you're not supposed to mix flesh. You're not supposed to do that. Okay, men with women, not men and men, not women and women. Okay, not men and animals, not men and angels. Okay, verse the middle of 19. Thou shalt not sow thy field with mingled seed, neither shall a garment mingled of linen and woolen come upon thee. And whosoever lieth carnally with a woman that is a bondmaid betrothed to an husband, and not at all redeemed, nor freedom given her, she shall be scourged. They shall not be put to death because she was not free. Let me see. I was supposed to skip. My bad. Let's skip down to verse 26. Ye shall not eat anything with the blood, neither shall ye use enchantment, nor observe times. Who taught man to do it? We just read it in the book of Enoch. One of the wicked angels, one of the watchers, taught men and women how to observe times and use incantations, which is enchantments. Okay, spells. Okay, let's skip down to 31. Verse 31, regard not them that have familiar spirits, neither seek after wizards to be defiled by them. I am the Lord your God. Where did they get that from? Let's skip down to chapter 20 and verse 10. And the man that committeth adultery with another man's wife, even he that committeth adultery with his neighbor's wife, the adulterer and the adulteress shall surely be put to death. Let's skip down to verse 13. If a man also lie with mankind, as he lieth with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination. They shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them. Let's skip down to verse 15. And if a man lie with a beast, he shall surely be put to death, and ye shall slay the beast. Think about why the Lord is saying that. Why do you need to kill the animal? Why? Because if the man ejaculates inside of the animal, the woman, the female animal, the animal can get pregnant and have an offspring. Do you understand that the Lord is saying that is prohibited? You're not supposed to do that. Angels are not supposed to mix with flesh, with human flesh. Man is not supposed to mix with angelic hosts. Man is also not supposed to mix with the animals. Angels are not supposed to mix with the animals. The book of Enoch said they injured beasts and reptiles and fish and birds, drinking their blood, eating their flesh. But not only that, they was creating offspring, creating hybrids. Okay? I'm going to show you that. I'm going to show you. Verse 16, it says, and if a woman approach unto any beast and lie down thereto, thou shalt kill the woman and the beast. They shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them. Let's skip down to verse 27. Leviticus 20 and verse 27. A man also or a woman that have a familiar spirit or that is a wizard, she dealing with these, the Nephilim spirits, okay, the spirits of the giants, shall surely be put to death. They shall stone them with stones. Their blood shall be upon them. Let me show you some more from the book of Enoch. I'm going to show you the punishment that these angels got. Okay. This is chapter 9. Then Michael and Gabriel, Raphael, Suriel, and Uriel looked down from heaven and saw the quantity of blood which was shed on earth and all the iniquity which was done upon it, and said one to another, it is the voice of their cries. The earth, deprived of her children, has cried even to the gate of heaven. And now to you, O you Holy One of heaven, the souls of men complain, saying, obtain justice for us with the Most High. Then they said to their Lord, the King, you are Lord of lords, God of gods, King of kings. The throne of your glory is forever and ever is your name sanctified and glorified. You are blessed and glorified. You have made all things. You possess power over all things, and all things are open and manifest before you. You behold all things, and nothing can be concealed from you. You have seen what Azazel has done, how he has taught every species of iniquity upon earth, and has disclosed to the world all the secret things which are done in the heavens. Now, Semyaz is the one that led the watchers to lust after earth women, but Azazel gave man the knowledge on how to create weapons to kill each other and mirrors, and also taught the women how to beautify themselves to create a very lustful society. You understand? So he got punished worse than Semyaza, and Semyaza was the one who said, let's go do this. Semyaza also has taught sorcery, to whom you have given authority over those who are associated with him. They have gone together to the daughters of men, have lain with them, have become polluted, and have discovered crimes to them, or revealed these sins, right? The women likewise have brought forth giants. Thus has the whole earth been filled with blood and with iniquity. And now, behold, the souls of those who are dead cry out, and complain even to the gate of heaven. Their groaning ascends, nor can they escape from the unrighteousness which is committed on earth. You know all things before they exist. You know these things and what has been done by them, yet you do not speak to us. What on account of these things ought we to do to them? Chapter 10. Then the Most High, the great and holy one, spoke and sent one of these angels, I can't pronounce his name, to the son of Lamech, okay, Uriel. It says here one Greek text reads Uriel, saying, say to him in my name, conceal yourself. Then explain to him the consummation which is about to take place, for all the earth shall perish. The waters of a deluge shall come over the whole earth, and all things which are in it shall be destroyed. And now teach him teach him how he may escape, and how his seed may remain in all the earth. Again, the Lord said to Raphael, bind Azazel hand and foot, cast him into darkness, and opening the desert which is in Dudael, cast him in there. Throw upon him hurled and pointed stones, covering him with darkness. There shall he remain forever. Cover his face that he may not see the light. And in the great day of judgment, let him be cast into the fire. Restore the earth which the angels have corrupted, and announce life to it, that I may revive it. All the sons of men shall not perish in consequence of every secret by which the watchers have destroyed, and which they have taught their offspring. All the earth has been corrupted by the effects of the teaching of Azazel. To him, therefore, ascribe the whole crime. To Gabriel also the Lord said, go to the biters, meaning the bastards, right, their offspring, to the reprobates, to the children of fornication, and destroy the children of fornication, the offspring of the watchers from among men. Bring them forth and excite them one against another. Let them perish by mutual slaughter, for length of days shall not be theirs. So even think about Lord of the Rings. Think about how small the hobbits were, right? But they represented humans, right? And think about how tall the orcs were compared to the hobbits. And remember in the second movie, Twin Towers, the orcs began to fight each other, right? And the hobbits were right there and they was running for their life, right? Just to put that out there. So it says, the Lord said, let them perish by mutual slaughter, for length of days shall not be theirs. So when you look into the mythologies, that's what the sons of the gods did. They fought each other and killed each other off before the flood. And not all of them died, before the flood. But when the flood happened, they all died. Okay. It says, they shall all entreat you, but their fathers shall not obtain their wishes respecting them, for they shall hope for eternal life, and that they may live each of them 500 years. To Michael likewise the Lord said, go and announce his crime to Semyaza and to the others who are with him, who have been associated with women, that they might be polluted with all their impurity, and with all their sons, and when all their sons shall be slain, when they shall see the perdition of their beloved, bind them for 70 generations underneath the earth, even to the day of judgment and of consummation, until the judgment, the effect of which will last forever, be completed. Then shall they be taken away into the lowest depths of the fire in torments, and in confinement shall they be shut up forever. Immediately after this shall he, together with them, burn and perish. They shall be bound until the consummation of many generations. Destroy all the souls addicted to dalliance, which is lust, and the offspring of the watchers, for they have tyrannized over mankind. The offspring of the watchers have tyrannized over mankind. The famous hybrids. Lot was freaking out. The 10 spies of Israel was freaking out. Let every oppressor perish from the face of the earth. Let every evil work be destroyed. The plant of righteousness and of rectitude appear, and its produce become a blessing. Righteousness and rectitude shall be planted forever, shall be forever planted with delight. And then shall all the saints give thanks and live until they have begotten 1,000 children, while the whole period of their youth and the Sabbath shall be completed in peace. In those days all the earth shall be cultivated in righteousness. It shall be wholly planted with trees and filled with benediction. Every tree of delight shall be planted in it. Okay, so I ain't going to read no further. But that was the punishment of the watchers and their children before the flood, right before the flood. Okay. Now let's go even further. We're almost done. Let's go to Revelation chapter 9. Revelation chapter 9. I want to show you. I want to show you something that a lot of these teachers can't explain. Okay, they can't tell you how. How did they get here? Revelation 9 and verse 13. Revelation 9 and 13. And the sixth angel sounded, and I heard a voice. This is the last 6 months of Jacob's trouble. Okay. This is right before Master comes back to save Israel and even the strangers that be with us, right? It says, and the sixth angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar, which is before God, saying to the sixth angel which had the trumpet, loose the four angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. And the four angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour and a day and a month and a year for to slay the third part of men. Ask yourself, how did these angels get here? How did they get bound in the Euphrates River? What happened? We've been talking about it, brothers and sisters, but if you listen to the Sethite view, the sons of Seth married the daughters of Cain. That's where the giants come from. That doesn't make any sense. And furthermore, you should see more proof of that then. You shouldn't find an ounce of evidence concerning hybrids. You should keep coming across stories consistently. The sons of Seth and the daughters of Cain mixed. Here's their children. You should be seeing that proof. There isn't no proof about that. Okay? Instead, you are seeing many stories, many depictions of hybrids, half deity, half mortal. Okay? And when the flesh part of them dies, that deity lives on. Okay? That spirit part of them lives on. And the spirits of the Nephilim is what possesses people today. Okay? Demonic possession, legion in them. Okay? The deaf and the mute and the blind, the spirits that afflict. These are the Nephilim spirits. Let's go to Genesis 6 again. And we're going to pick it up at verse 5 this time. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. I wonder why. And it repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. And the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping thing, and the fowls of the air, for it repenteth me that I have made them. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. These are the generations of Noah. Noah was a just man and perfect in his generations. That means his DNA was not corrupted. Because the fallen angels before the flood, they began to corrupt all DNA. They began to mix this with that and get this. Dinosaurs were before the flood. The world Satan have lied through his men and women in the world by telling us that the ice age froze the dinosaurs. No, they died by way of the flood. And the dinosaurs were not God's creation. They were hybrids. They was hybrids. They was the fallen angels' creation. Okay? And they got wiped out in the flood. Nevertheless, he was perfect in his generations because his DNA was not tainted. Neither was his wife, neither was his 3 sons, neither were each of their wives. They was all pure. Okay? And ask your pastor this. Well, if the daughters of Cain were so corrupt, then where did Noah's 3 sons get their wife from? Were they from the children of Seth, or were they from the children of Cain? Nobody knows. Okay? Because that's not the truth concerning the sons of Seth marrying the daughters of Cain. That's not the truth. Nevertheless, it says he was perfect in his generations, and Noah walked with God. And Noah begat 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Okay? Let's go to Leviticus chapter 4. We're going to come back to Genesis 6, so hold your marker there. Okay? Let's go to Leviticus chapter 4. And we're going to pick it up at verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, If a soul shall sin through ignorance against any of the commandments of the Lord concerning things which ought not to be done, and shall do against any of them. You may say, well, why are we reading this? Because I'm going to show you when it said Noah was perfect in his generations, it's because it was talking about his DNA. Okay? Noah was he did sin in his lifetime. He was considered a sinner. He was righteous because he did believe in Yah and kept the commandments. Okay? At that time. Nevertheless, when it says he was perfect in his generations, it's talking about his DNA. His blood was pure. Okay? Verse 3. If the priest that is anointed do sin according to the sin of the people, then let him bring for his sin, which he have sinned, a young bullock without blemish unto the Lord for a sin offering. That's not talking about a sinless animal. That's talking about an animal that does not have physical corruption. Physical corruption. Okay, Noah did not have physical corruption. His wife did not have physical corruption. We're talking about being a hybrid, having some something foreign in their system. Their children was pure. Their children's wives were pure. Okay, the animals that Noah had on the ark, pure. They were not hybrids. Notice he didn't bring no dinosaurs. Notice he didn't bring no pterodactyls. No, none of that stuff. Okay, notice he didn't bring no satyrs across. Notice he didn't bring no half man, half bull things. Okay, the minotaurs and centaurs, half man, half horse. He didn't bring none of that. He brought what the Lord told him: the clean animals by sevens, 2 by 2, the unclean 2. Okay, let's go back to Genesis chapter 6. Pick it up at verse 11. The earth also was corrupt before God. even the ground, was totally corrupted. And the earth was filled with violence, right? And God, why? Because Semyaza, or not Semyaza, Azazel gave man knowledge on how to kill each other. He taught us how to make weapons and, weapons for war, breastplates and armor and swords and knives. You understand? Even gave women the knowledge on how to create, uh, how to sharpen their eyebrows. This is for lust. For lust. This is why the Lord said in Proverbs, don't let the evil woman captivate you with her eyes. Because look at today's world, brothers and sisters. Women are using their eyes to captivate and seduce men all over the world. It's lust. What is this? Where does this knowledge come from? It comes from devils. Okay? It said in verse 12, and God looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth. So cats was mixing with dogs. You had people mixing with animals. You had lions and tigers mixing. Everything was out of course. You had the angels mixing with the daughters of men. Okay, you had homosexuality, lesbianism, bestiality, all across the board. Okay, and DNA manipulation, DNA corruption by way of the fallen angels. Their sons and their daughters was eating up everything. You say, well, they only had sons. No, they had daughters too. Where do you think some of these goddesses come from? Okay, they were hybrids, but these was women too. The Nephilim even being able to reproduce, they had sons and daughters. Okay, they didn't. Goliath and his 5 brothers were not the only types of, are not the only offspring of the giants. Okay, there were female giants too. That's how they were able to reproduce. You understand? So the Lord said all flesh had corrupted his way. There was nothing pure except Noah and his household. Okay, man was mixed with this. I'm not gonna keep repeating myself, but I'm just trying to emphasize for you, okay, so that you understand. After this last verse, Matthew 24, I want to show you some articles, okay, some articles concerning recent years concerning hybrids that are being created, that have been created, okay. Back to the days of Noah. Matthew 24, we're going to pick it up at verse 22. Matthew 24 and verse 22. And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. You should have a better understanding about that now. The Lord had to shorten Jacob's trouble, great tribulation. Why? Because there would be no flesh saved if he didn't shorten the days. Because you talking about Genesis 6 again, the days of Noah again, the days of Lot again, Sodom and Gomorrah. What happened in Genesis 6? Evil watchers made it with women, created an offspring of hybrid giants. Sodom and Gomorrah, all the people of those cities were trying to rape the angels so that they could create more hybrids. They got destroyed for that. The Lord said, and except those days, talking about great tribulation, which is 3.5 years, except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. For Israel's sake, for the 12 tribes' sake, for our sake, the Father has shortened the days of great tribulation to 3.5 years. Okay, and this, like I said last week, this time you're not going to see, 36 plus feet tall hybrids, but they put it in technology. This is what the mark of the beast is. Okay, these RFID chips, the nanotechnology, the brain chips, this is what it is. They're going to mix you again. Hybrids. They're going to make you a hybrid again. That's why the Lord said if you take the mark, you're done. You're not going to be able to repent. You're not going to have a thought to cut your hand off. You're not going to have a thought, let me go get surgery and get this out of my head. It's over. You're going to be totally reprobate if you take the mark. You're going to be damned. This is why you don't need to play around with sin. Because sin is going to lead you to be tempted, and you're going to fall into that temptation, and you're going to take the mark being tempted, and you're going to damn yourself. This is why you need to deny yourself, pick up your cross, follow Jesus Christ into eternal life, and start today. Do not harden your heart if you hear the word of God being preached. Get under the blood of Jesus, get baptized in Jesus' name, walk in God's commandments, be as faithful as you possibly can, pray without ceasing, fast. You understand? So that you have spiritual power against the evil spirits. Let's skip down to verse 37. Matthew 24, verse 37. But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. This is why it behooves us to understand what took place in the days of Noah and stop listening to fairy tale preachings concerning the days of Noah. No, it was very bad, the stuff that happened, okay? And we have history to back it up, to prove what actually happened in the days of Noah and in the days of Sodom and Gomorrah. And Jesus likened the end back to the days of Noah. Isn't that something? He said, "For as in the," he said, but as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating. We looked at what they was eating, but I've been telling you for a minute now, and drinking. Told you that. Marrying. The angels was raping women, okay, and giving in marriage until the day that Noah entered into the ark and knew not until the flood came and took them all away. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Okay, so, you know, sin is going to blind you to what's coming, just like it happened to them back then. They was sinning. Noah is building an ark, preparing. They oblivious, okay? And he's even trying to talk to some people who may not have been mixed. Their DNA might not have been mixed, but they were still living sinfully, okay? Still following the trend, okay? He's trying to preach to them. They not listening to him. Okay, they sinning. He enters into the ark. The waters start coming from above and below. They get wiped away. Same as it's going to be in the end. People are sinning, could care less. They hear the preacher. They don't believe him. You know, so they're going to end up being destroyed. Now I want to show you, before I end this, I want to show you some articles, brothers and sisters. And you do some further investigation for yourself. Okay, but I want to show you some stuff. All right, and then this will be it. All right, now I'm going to show you. Let's see. I'll show you this. Humanzy. Okay, human ape hybrid. Okay, now we're going to read this article because this is from 2018. Okay, when it happened is the year 1920. Okay, scientist claims U.S. lab engineered Humanzy human chimp hybrid 100 years ago. This is from January 31st, 2018. A prominent U.S. scientist has claimed researchers in Florida succeeded in breeding a human-chimp hybrid called a Humanzy in controversial, long-rumored 1920s research. Evolutionary psychologist Gordon G. Gallup Jr., who achieved renown for his pioneering mirror self-recognition experiments with animals in the 70s, says a former university professor told him the hybrid creature was born at an animal research laboratory where he once worked. Now, you read that on your own. I'm just giving you a snippet, okay? Now, let me show you something else. Because, like I said, if the sons of Seth and the daughters of Cain mixed, then that's what you should find consistently through your research. But you don't find that. What you find is hybridization, giants, demigods, okay? Let me show you this. Human, rabbit, and you can look all this stuff up for yourself, okay? Human rabbit hybrid. Check this out. Okay. cloning yields, this is from the Washington Post, cloning yields human rabbit hybrid embryo. Okay, August 14th, 2003. Scientists in China have, for the first time, that's a lie. Anytime they publicize it, they've been doing it at least 30 years in advance. Okay, at least. Scientists in China have, for the first time, used cloning techniques to create hybrid embryos that contain a mix of DNA from both humans and rabbits, according to a report in a scientific journal that has reignited the smoldering ethics debate over cloning research. Okay, more than 100 of the hybrids made by fusing human skin cells with rabbit eggs were allowed to develop in laboratory dishes for several days before the scientists destroyed them to retrieve so-called embryonic stem cells from their interiors. Although scientists in Massachusetts had previously mixed human cells and cow eggs in a similar attempt to make hybrid embryos as a source of stem cells, those experiments were not successful. That is a lie. Okay, if they tell you that they were not successful, they were. Period. And if they telling you that, if they telling you, oh, we have such and such, then you have to be careful, with that. Like if they telling you they got nuclear bombs, that can destroy the whole world, yeah, they lying about that. Okay, I'm not saying they ain't got big bombs, but they ain't got no nuclear stuff. Okay, and there's no such thing as outer space. There's no galaxies and universes, and there's none of that stuff. Let me show you this. Okay, human monkey hybrid in China, because this is recent. Human monkey. All right. Now, this is in China, right? And let's read. This is from August the 2nd, 2019. Okay. World's first human monkey hybrid created in China. A team of American and Spanish scientists relocated to China to jump European laws, and they have created the world's first human monkey embryo. It's not the first, but that's what they tell in the world. In the next step in the controversial breeding of animals for the Human Organs Program. Notice how they calling it a program, okay? It's the days of Noah again. Notes on animal testing appear in 4th and 3rd century BC writings of the ancient Greeks, and Galen was a 2nd century Roman physician who dissected pigs and goats and thus is known as the father of vivisection. Then in 12th century Moorish Spain, the Arabic physician, surgeon and poet Ibn Zur practiced dissection and surgical procedures on animals before applying them to human patients. The creation of animal-human hybrids. Again, in Spain, researchers from the Murcia Catholic University, see how the Catholic Church is tied into all of this, and the Salk Institute for Biological Studies in the U.S., founded in the 60s by Jonas Salk, the developer of the polio vaccine, genetically modified monkey embryos and have successfully created a human monkey embryo. A report in RT says a team of scientists led by Juan Carlos Espusa relocated to China to conduct the experiment because it was in violation of Spanish law, because everybody's not down with the days of Noah. Everybody's not down with hybridization, mixing man with this and that. Okay? These modern, but they will be by the end, okay? The world will unite in this. You'll have a remnant that'll come out from all these different sectors. But right now, you still have people that are like, nah, I'm not with that. These modern Dr. Frankensteins tinker with the very building blocks of organic life, and firstly, they deactivated specific genes used in the formation of organs before injecting human stem cells into the embryo. Now, what you need to understand is that's why the Lord said Noah was perfect in his generations, because he was not mixed, okay? He was not tainted. His wife was not tainted. Their sons were not tainted, and their sons' wives were not tainted. They didn't have hybrid blood in them, okay? Let me show you some more. Let me show you this sheep-human hybrid, okay? Sheep-human hybrid. So if this isn't what happened in Genesis 6, then how come you're seeing it now? You see, Jesus said it would be like it was in the days of Noah before the end, right? Or by the time he came back. So if the sons of Seth married the daughters of Cain, and that's where the giants came from, and the giants were just really famous people, then that's what you should be seeing in these end times. But what you're seeing is hybridization. You're seeing the superhuman programs. You're seeing the hero worship through these Hollywood CIA collaborated movies. Superman, Hulk, Iron Man, okay? Sheep-human hybrids made in lab. Get the facts. This is from, let me see. This is from February 18th, 2018, okay? Building on a controversial breakthrough made in 2017, scientists announced on Saturday that they have created the second successful human-animal hybrids. Excuse me, let me get this out of the way. Oh boy. Come on. I'm sorry for this. One moment. Okay. It says, building on a controversial breakthrough made in 2017, scientists announced on Saturday that they have created the second successful human-animal hybrids, sheep embryos that are 0.1% human by cell count. The embryos, which were not allowed to develop past 28 days of age, which is a lie, move researchers a small step closer to perhaps growing human organs for medical transplant. Every hour, 6 people in the United States are added to the national waiting list for organ transplants, and each day, 22 people on the list die waiting. In the U.S. alone, more than 100,000 people need heart transplants each year, but only about 2,000 receive one. Okay, now, what's the point? So they're going to spin it to make it seem like it's a good thing because it can help you to live longer, right? Well, you know, if you need a heart transplant, we're growing human organs in animals, you know, even pigs, right? So if you need a heart transplant or you need this or that, then we can just go in one of our animals where we've made this animal a hybrid because it's growing human organs inside of it. That's how they're going to spin it. You understand? And people going to buy into that. Oh, come on. I don't know why this thing is acting slow now. I got a couple more I'm going to show you, okay? And like I said, please do yourself a huge favor and look this stuff up for yourself, okay? Look it up for yourself. I'm just giving you a little bit. All right, let me go to this. Let's look at the 5 chimeras, which is when they take 5 different daddies and mix them into one thing. They take 5 different species and create a hybrid. What is it? Chimeras. Whoops. And that's some of the images of the 5 chimeras, but we're going to look at the article, okay? 5 chimeras created by science. Look at this. This article is from, what is up with these ads, boy? I'm trying to tell you. Okay. A chimera is an organism with genetic material from 2 or more sources. Experiments in the field may save lives, but are ethically controversial. And the picture is showing a 4-week-old pig embryo carrying human stem cells, an experiment led by Juan Carlos Espusa Balamonte, who recently created created the first human monkey chimera. Human monkey. Last week, researchers led by that same guy announced that they had created the first human monkey chimera embryos in China. The purpose of the experiment is to investigate ways of using animals to grow human organs for transplants, which they're not going to stop there, brothers and sisters. They're going to take it all the way to how the Lord is saying, where if unless those days had been shortened, the days of great tribulation, no flesh would be saved. Why? Because people are going to be genetically modified. They showing you they already programming the world now through Altered Carbon on Netflix, through Black Mirror, through the movie Selfless with Ryan Reynolds. They're already programming people to accept it when it comes to become something more than human. Okay? It says the organs could be genetically matched by taking the recipient cells and reprogramming them into stem cells. Human pig. In 2017, scientists from the Salk Institute in California, led again by the same guy, tried to grow the first embryos containing cells from humans and pigs. The process proved to be more challenging than expected and was very inefficient. From 2,075 implanted embryos, only 186 developed up to the 28-day time limit for the project. They talk about human. Look at the virus chimera. Viruses can help to fight diseases. In 2017, Portuguese researchers created a chimera virus, a mouse virus with a human viral gene, which enables them to investigate new ways to treat cancer caused by human herpes virus infection. The team found out that when the cancer-causing virus loses a protein called LANA, it also loses its ability to cause cancer. Human mouse. In March, Japan loosened its guidelines, lifting a 2-week limit on the growth of a human-animal chimera and allowing the transplantation of chimeric embryos or hybrids into animals, but not humans. Pending approval, a Japanese stem cell scientist, Hiromitsu Nagachu, plans to insert human stem cells into mice or rats in an attempt to grow a human pancreas in the animal. As a safeguard, if too many human cells creep into the rat's brains, the experiment will be stopped. They are lying. They're going to go far with this, okay? They're going to go far with this. Let me show you the Xenobot real quick, and then this will be it. Okay, and these are just some of the things that they are doing that is happening under the bride of Christ's nose, because many of these pastors within the body of Christ, they're not talking about this. Okay, they won't teach the people the truth about Genesis 6, and you need to know, brothers and sisters, you need to know what really happened, man, because this is what's happening now. Jesus said, before I come, it's going to be like it was in the days of Noah. So you need to understand what was happening in the days of Noah. Why are you saying that the world going to be like it was in that day? Why didn't you just say the world would be wicked? Why are you saying is you comparing it to the days of Noah? Because of what happened. Okay, now, Xenobot, let me show you this. It's not that one. Xenobot, we'll look at Wikipedia, okay? Xenobot. Okay, Xenobot, named after the African clawed frog, are synthetic, which is not real, organisms that are automatically designed by computers, these quantum super AI computers, okay, to perform some desired function and built by combining together different biological tissues. Xenobots are less than 1 millimeter wide and composed of just 2 things: skin cells and heart muscle cells, both of which are derived from stem cells harvested from early frog embryos. The skin cells provide rigid support, and the heart cells act as small motors, contracting and expanding in volume to propel the Xenobot forward. The shape of a Xenobot's body and its distribution of skin and heart cells are automatically designed in simulation to perform a specific task using a process of trial and error and evolutionary algorithm. Xenobots have been designed to walk, swim, push pellets, carry payloads, and work together in a swarm to aggregate debris scattered along the surface of their dish into neat piles. They can survive for weeks without food and heal themselves after lacerations. Now, what you need to understand is this is frog DNA, okay? This is robotics. Look at the industry. Look at the industry. It says robotics, synthetic biology, right? Medicine, environmental remediation, okay? Frog cells. Look at this. Look at what they're doing, brothers and sisters. And your pastors is not telling you about this stuff. They keep telling you that the sons of Seth had sex with the daughters of Cain, and that's what Genesis 6 is about. It is not. And I'm still not done giving you the rest of the scriptures, but we're going to get into part 3 next Sabbath, if the Most High will, okay, where I'm going to go further into the Word of God and show you that there's way more proof, okay? Fallen angels came down. They were called watchers. They raped these earth women. They bore children to them. The same became mighty men, these famous hybrids. Okay, that's why I showed you the proof. Hercules, Medusa, these satyrs, these minotaurs, these all of that stuff. Okay, the fallen angels began corrupting the DNAs of different things because that's where the dinosaurs come from. They were hybrids. Okay, they got wiped out in the flood along with everything else. Noah was perfect in his generation because his blood was pure, his wife's blood was pure, their sons' blood were pure, and their wives' blood were pure. Okay, and the Lord brought the animals. He saved the animals, the clean ones. You understand? Even amongst the unclean animals that were forbidden in his law to eat, he even saved the pure ones amongst the unclean, if that makes sense. So, because everything was corrupt, there were titans in the earth, there were giants. Okay, and these were the sons of the gods, little g. Some people call them aliens. Some people call them gods. Some people, you understand? But they were the fallen angels. They were watchers. Okay, and just like it was in that day before the flood, look at what they're doing now. Look at what the people are doing now. Who's teaching them to do this stuff? Who's teaching man about cloning? Who's teaching man about creating synthetic humanoids? Who's teaching man on how to mix this DNA with that DNA and come up with this? Who's teaching man to put human stem cells in animals? You know, mixing the DNAs, the fallen angels. Once again, that's why the Lord said it would be like it was in the days of Noah. The corruption of DNA, the hybridization of man with this. Okay. So with that, I would say shalom in Jesus' name to the 12 tribes scattered worldwide and the strangers that's with us. The Most High and his word be magnified. And I pray that you all enjoy the rest of the Lord's Sabbath day. Peace.